Dementia Researcher with a blog and a rating.
I've worked in academia for the duration of my career. I've always had this really romantic view about it, this idea of starting my own group and developing a research identity at a university. I never saw another career path for me. Academia has a reputation of being this career that's full of free intellectual thoughts, idea development and stimulating conversations and collaborations. I'm now, however, wondering if I've been pursuing the right thing, and I'm not the only one. During my last postdoc, I knew of a PI who'd received funding to hire a new researcher. They advertised what should have been an incredibly attractive opportunity to any budding young researcher. It was a 4-year, fully funded postdoc position with the potential to apply for further support to extend the post. Normally this would attract a multitude of applications. Instead, they received 4. This is not a one-off situation either. I've spoken to a number of research group leaders in the last 12 to 18 months, and they're all saying the same, rather cliched but relevant phrase: you just can't get the staff anymore. Similarly, I've noticed a shift in thinking for PhD students, with fewer and fewer expressing a desire to move on to a postdoc after they've submitted their thesis. On the surface, it looks like nothing has changed in terms of the value prospects of transitioning into a postdoc. There's a decent pay jump from a PhD stipend to a postdoc starting salary, and you get to continue to pursue research that interests you. Additionally, working at a university gives you a level of day-to-day freedom that's hard to find in industry, so it seems a great move, right? But unfortunately, more significant reasons lie beneath these surface features that help you understand why promising young scientists are leaving academia. Firstly, the temporary contract situation of postdoc life has always been a bugbear. You never hold down a permanent position and you've got to find new funding for a new job at least 3 or 4 times during your postdoc stint. This seemed like a manageable situation when jobs for postdocs were readily available, but the pandemic has drastically changed this. During the first 18 months of lockdowns and university closures, most funders pulled their schemes. This postdoc job market pretty much vanished, and we saw large numbers of talented young scientists left stranded at the end of a contract with nowhere to go but out of academia. It's really exposed the frailty of life as a postdoc, and many just don't think it's worth the risk. Industrial research jobs offer you permanent contracts, often comparable or improved salaries, and a host of benefits packages that a university simply can't. Secondly, while the salary for a postdoc looked attractive when I first moved to that role 7 years ago, it's not changed much since. The economic situation across the globe, however, has. This is why the unions are now at odds with the government with continued strikes. Academic salaries are simply not being adjusted to reflect inflation and haven't for some time. Companies who manage their own financial situations often appear more likely to adapt pay scales to a dynamic economy, which in turn makes their employees feel more valued. Universities must catch up if they want to hold on to good people. That last point is important too, because it's not just the young researchers that are going elsewhere. If you do a quick job search, you'll see several universities advertising a host of academic positions at lecturer grade and above. Companies are starting to notice that there are very talented people working at universities, people who have skills that they need, and people who are being given increased workloads, pressure, and no significant remuneration for the extra efforts. Why stay somewhere for the same salary with increased workload when you can get poached for more money elsewhere? Yes, there's a sense of legacy that you've built with your research, but legacy doesn't pay the bills, and in this economy, more and more people are going to switch to the more pragmatic approach of seeking financial security. It feels like we're a bit of a crossroads, and we need to acknowledge that there's a problem brewing here. We need academic institutes to prosper. They train the next generation of scientists who go on to discover future medicines and therapies. It's getting harder and harder for universities to hold on to good people, and that's a real issue. You cannot produce promising young scientists without good mentors. This problem's not going to go away. The economic situation across the globe is not magically going to improve overnight. In fact, many predict it will get worse. It's time to acknowledge the problem and address it. Academia is losing the romanticised image that made it so attractive to people like me, and that's a real shame. It needs to get its image of valuing and developing intelligent and promising people back. If we ignore the issue, it will only get worse, and we need strong academic institutes to keep our innovation machine running.
Thank you for listening. Join the Dementia Research bloggers and share your own views.